Hi, I'm Joe Lazoo. Welcome back to KCZIN. Go to the website at kczin.com to keep the pro-independence message alive. Now, we're talking about some very serious issue today in reference to our health conditions. You know that the virus is going on and many people have actually decided to get vaccinated, and now they're facing a whole bunch of other issues after that first vaccination, moving on to a second and perhaps a third, and still more issues continue in spite of all those continual vaccination programs. So what are we to do as a people? Where do we get our reliance in terms of information to make sure that whatever's best for us is now available for us to understand? Clearly, there are many problems, and that's why this video is here to help us get a better perspective of what's going on and how you can control your own health. Here's the number one issue I want you to think about: Black self-immunity. We're going to go into that in a little bit, but first, we're going to listen to one scholar, an African-American scholar that has better firsthand knowledge as an actual scholar and someone who's actually a doctor in this particular field.
Hello, my name is Dr. Christina Parks. I received my PhD in cellular and molecular biology right here in the state of Michigan from University of Michigan Medical School. And so I'm very well versed in the science of both these mRNA, gene therapy, vaccines, this kind of technology, as well as what a vaccine is designed to do in the body, what it can do, what it can't do, and the fact that this is extremely complex science that has been oversimplified in the media to basically take away our freedom of choice. What I want to address today in this limited time is the fact that vaccine requirements and mandates are based on the faulty assumption that the vaccines in question prevent transmission of the pathogen, right? Does the vaccine for DTaP prevent transmission? No. Does the vaccine for flu prevent transmission? No. Do the vaccines for COVID prevent transmission? No. In fact, they were never designed to do that. All right, so you're asking, what about this 95% effectiveness? If you look at those clinical trials, they do not say that they prevent transmission. They expressly say that they're measuring whether they attenuate symptoms. So they're 95% effective based on their clinical trials at attenuating symptoms for the first variant, which is essentially gone in our population. Right now, the predominant variant is the Delta, and CDC Director Walensky basically said that these vaccines have no ability to prevent infection by and transmission of the Delta variant. So our policy needs not to be built on the hope of what we think something we want it to do, but what the data actually tell us. So do these viruses do the vaccines prevent the virus from infecting and replicating in the nose and nasopharynx? No. They've only been shown to prevent that replication in the lungs. They're different. The mucosa is very different than the lungs. It's very different than the blood. You inject it to the blood, you make antibodies in your blood. The virus isn't infecting your blood. It's infecting your mucosa, and you don't produce any IgA to neutralize it. In fact, recent studies have shown that the vaccinated, especially with the Delta variant, and the unvaccinated have similar amounts of virus in their nose and throat. In Barnstable, Massachusetts, the CDC tracked an outbreak of 469 cases of COVID. 74% occurred in fully vaccinated, and 4 out of 5 of those hospitalized were vaccinated.
There you go. As you can see, you're being told in the media by all the TV stations, radio stations, and also the actual political leaders in government following the same information coming from the CDC, coming from Dr. Fauci, coming from politicians, from Joe Biden on down to your local representative, particularly in the Democratic Party. And I'm going to be focusing more on the Black caucus, the Black people that you voted for, the Black people that actually you supported, gave them money, and volunteered for the campaign. Quite frankly, this Dr. Parks is letting you know they're all liars. They've been lying to you about what is taking place with the vaccination. We're going to go into more details on that in a bit, but I wanted for you to hear it directly from a black scholar. Pay attention. This is not what they tell you what it is. What they tell you what it is what they want you to believe. However, the science, the data shows otherwise, the complete opposite. But we're going to go into further discussion. And now we go back to Dr. Parks.
And so, as a PhD who knows the science, I'm in the category of the most vaccine hesitant group. Yes, PhDs are the most vaccine hesitant, followed by people who have less than a high school degree because they know what they don't know and they don't trust their government. And many people, the other group that is very vaccine hesitant are African Americans. 70% of African Americans have not taken this vaccine. Why? Because they don't trust their government. Do they have reason not to trust their government? Well, between the years of 1930 and 1970, the CDC conducted the Tuskegee experiment, where they took untreated males with syphilis and they refused to treat them. Even after antibiotics became available, they still did not treat them, and they did not tell them that they had syphilis. They told those people that they were there to secure their health, and they did not secure their health. They abused them. You say, well, that was in the past, although I don't think 1970 was that long ago. Well, in 2012, whistleblower William Thompson came forward and said, we published a study that said MMR does not cause autism, but we lied. In fact, we shredded data that showed that when Black boys are vaccinated on time, they have increased rates of autism diagnosis. And we shredded it and we left it out of the paper. As an African American and a PhD, I want to ask each of you, are we going to exclude 70% of African American people from the workforce and from education? Right? My ancestors did not work this hard. I come from a family that worked very hard, and I'm very aware that my privileges are dependent on the work of my grandmother and my great-grandmother, and I have great respect for these people that put me where I am. And yet you're telling me that my son will not be able to be educated if, based on the history of African Americans in this country, that he doesn't want to be vaccinated? All right, so I will leave you with that question. Who are we going to exclude from the workforce? Are we going to continue with discrimination and segregation in the United States of America? Thank you.
There you go. It's quite different because it's not truthful, it's misleading, and it's an outright lie. And that's exactly what it is. This vaccination is something quite different than what they tell us. Quite frankly, it shows you at this moment, 70% of our people reject the idea. They don't want to do it. They don't trust these people. We have a history with them. There's no way that we're going to do what they tell us. But that 70% is based on a study of people that really weren't us. However, we do have a scholar, that's right, a scholar of our own people that conducted a survey. And that's the survey, and that's the science, and that's the data that we go by. Not by their data or their science, because they don't even follow that. But our data and our science from our own scholars. That's right, a PhD scholar conducted the survey, and not just a survey, there was a survey of over 100,000 of our people participating. And I want you to understand that that number, 100,000, is way over the minimum requirement to conduct a national survey for our people. That survey could have been done at less than 20 to even less than that, less than 10% of those numbers to have a national survey. So the fact that we have an actual PhD conducting a survey which surpasses the minimum requirement of a national survey for our people, it's a trustworthy survey. Beyond trustworthy, it's excellent. And it came back with an enormous number. 80% reject. That's right. 80% of our people reject the vaccination. and we're not taking it. Why? Because we know better. We've had bad experiences with these people. You can't trust them. So therefore, we're back to where we started this conversation. Black self-immunity. That's right. It's what's working. Just our bodies alone is able to handle this virus. No need to take their vaccinations and all these other issues. We, as a people, can handle this issue. Maybe they can't, we can. Now, let's go to a very important thing. And this important thing is the fact they're now weaponizing, that's right, they're weaponizing this vaccine against us. And what is the result of this weapon? Take our jobs away from us and put us and keep us in poverty. That's their goal. We're not going to allow them. We're going to fight them. Join me. I'm putting together a program. Join me as we fight against this weapon, taking our money away from us because of a mandate that they put into policy which is not based on any science. We're going to fight this. Join me. Go to kczin.com. Become a member of this program. We're going to fight these people. Make sure that our people do not lose their jobs over their greed of putting money to the pharmaceuticals and also to Washington. Let them pay for their own mess. Let them pay for whatever they have going on with this vaccine, but it's not going to come out of the pockets of our people. Join me, we'll fight them, and we'll keep your job from these people trying to take it. kczin.com